Right. Right, g'day team. How are we? Let me just check the. Nah, setup looks good. Yeah, lo and behold, 40 minutes continuous. You know it, Robro. Right, hi team. Yeah, we did. We had a request last week for a continuous. Ha! Maybe they just want more continuous on on the channel so they can go back over and redo it. So maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's our reasoning. Um, but you guys asked, and you shall receive. So we'll do 40 minutes, good number. Um, uh, yeah, like obviously I love the interval stuff because I feel like it allows us to focus on what we're trying to achieve in terms of our technique, the way that we're doing it, holding our composure. Um, Yet, yes, we like I feel like the breaks aren't long enough to sort of affect us in any negative effect. And whether you do them at home and you do 10 minutes, maybe a 30-second or a 20-second or something like that in between. Um, but obviously a nice continuous row allows us to get into a rhythm, hold what we're trying to achieve, okay, and push through that time of really thinking about what we're doing and trying to maintain our consistency because the consistency is the key. Being able to produce something time and time again, ingrain it into our memory, retrain our bodies the way that we need it to be done, and that's all part of obviously being on here and using the machine and training in the way that we need to. And so basically that's what we're going to do. Okay. So the focus really today is just around that rhythm. Okay. The smoothness of what we're able to achieve, the consistency of what we're able to achieve, getting onto a good number. Okay. So technically, in a situation like this, if you're really bashing it out, or I shouldn't say bashing it out, if you're really like focusing on good improvement, the warm up should be dictated by warming yourself up to get to like the numbers that you're wanting to hit. Okay. And when you get to that point, then you can start your piece. And then the idea is to start that piece 30 seconds. You want to be onto that rhythm and onto that pace, and then being able to hold that all the way through the workout. So when you get to the end, bang, you got your numbers. And using the functionality of the monitor is a really good one because ultimately you can use your force curve, you can just have big numbers on screen, you can have a whole lot more data if you're using the erg data app, you can look at your stroke length and the stroke time and that type of thing. Or else generally on a situation like this, I'd pick up the units and you'd probably go like what's your average split, right? And you can watch that average split and get onto obviously using your number in the middle, but looking at what your average split will be over that period is a really good way to just focus and say, right, I'm trying to hit 2 minutes, right? Just round numbers here. And you can see whether or not you're there, okay? And it might start a little bit higher, it might creep under, and you're like, okay, this is good. It's a really good motivational tool. Okay, and that's what is good about the PM, being able to look at different bits for that, and it does allow you to really use what you can see, right, to give you that feedback of what you're actually doing. Okay, and so that's hence what I always say is that the only person to critique yourself is yourself, and while you're doing it at home or at the gym or wherever you are, you're the only one that can really dictate what's happening. Okay, but keep in mind, as we're doing this piece today, if you really start to push it at the start and the heart rate sort of gets up, think about the relaxation to maintain that, because ultimately over this period, your heart rate should get up somewhere. And if you're really pushing or you're really focusing on certain parts of it, then it will continue to possibly climb. Okay, but remember, after all the conversations and probably everything you see online about heart rate and things like that, it's so it's so dictated by so many other factors, right? Whether you've had a big long week, whether you had a rest day yesterday, whether you've done nothing, whether you're hungover, you've already been on the beers. Uh, like there's so many different aspects to it, and the majority of it should be, how do I feel? Okay, so you can have a really low heart rate and be like, "Fuck, I'm struggling," right? And that can mean a little bit of fatigue. Now, you could be the opposite and have a really high heart rate and be like, "But I feel good. I feel focused. I'm good. I could probably have a sentence or two to someone if they walk in." Okay, and so that's not necessarily bad. Okay, in either aspects, but it does really, like, if you've got a high heart rate and you're puffing away and you're like, "Fuck, this is hard." Okay, maybe we are working a little bit too hard, and that's where you need to search for efficiencies. Okay, the patience, trying to find the relationship. Okay, the work rest. And with this continuous row, we're just going to get into this rhythm. We're going to swing along. Okay, really maintain our hang, the focus on the body, compression to the front, how we're sequencing our drive, because if we tie it all together and we get a really nice motion, right, we just get this flywheel moving, it's spinning along, we tap it along, we pick it up, we use energy in sort of this part of the stroke, right, in the drive phase. And then the rest of it should be all about patience, recovery, relaxation, just allowing ourselves to compress into the front. Boom, take the next stroke. Okay. I'm just going to just take my screen up just slightly, just because I think I need to get a little bit more of my head in there. All right, and then we'll jump on, and then boom, we'll be away laughing. Just need to put another piece of tape on my heel. No doubt it'll probably come off at some stage. This one's a bit munted. Okay, but as I mentioned before, we'll do sort of 4 or 5 minutes on our warm up, getting ourselves into a nice rhythm, and then we'll kick it off. But as I said before, if you're if this is main training, that type of thing, uh, really looking at your targets, really like trying to identify your speeds, that type of thing, then yes, get into your rhythm, um, get into your pace to get like your speed of what you're wanting to achieve for the workout, okay, by the end of your warm up. And then once you're at that level, then you'll be in a good position to start, okay, that's your benchmark, that's your mark that you're trying to hit. And then it allows you, once we do set up the monitor, to just get straight into it and be ready to rock and roll, okay? So I didn't put a rating on there. So I'll do this around 20, okay? I like my 20 rating. I think it's a really nice space to be able to feel the pressure, okay, to understand the patience. If you do get it slightly wrong, or I shouldn't say wrong, if you come off, what you're trying to do in terms of your form, you do see the change on screen. Anything higher, okay, sort of can start to mask it slightly, but not really. Okay, but if you're used to sitting on 22, then sit on 22, okay, and just really get your motion of what you're trying to achieve. and just use that as your base rhythm. Okay. So 20 to 22, consistency is the key. Looking for this relaxation, looking for this hang, okay, and looking for the smoothness that we can create through the drive. Okay. Now the smoothness is the transitions through the sequence. Okay. So when we're starting the press from this compressed position, okay, when we get this feeling on the feet and we start the drive, how can we transition through the different points without making it mechanical? Okay, so we don't want to be drive, body, and arms. Okay, we want to try and mold the feelings together so we do really feel like we're sitting back through the stroke. Okay, always a telltale sign in a continuous is your arms. Okay, you're starting to feel, you know, I'm working my biceps and my triceps too much. Okay, forearms are getting tight. Generally means the tension there is non-conducive. Okay, and hence why really trying to lock in this hang from these armpits, feeling that motion. Okay, and so just here we should be starting to get closer to speed. Feeling, okay, the pressures, the relationships, and starting to think about the motion. Okay, good. All right, a few more here. Boom. Okay. But under the weather, so do it later. Good on you, Rich. Uh, mental training session. Yeah. So hopefully everything's still good here too, because YouTube did an upgrade. Last time they did an upgrade, they pissed everything up. So hopefully the audio and stuff's all good. I know that on my setup today, I've got to change it to horizontally. Couldn't find it. Like the hell. Found it. Whatever. So in a situation like this, remember that it's slightly a war of attrition to yourself because you've got the time, you're trying to stay focused, your mind's going to wander, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So really think about the aspects in terms of breaking it down. Okay. The first 10 minutes, we just get into this rhythm, focus and roll. Okay. The second is about consistency, holding. We're halfway. Okay. And then that 20 to 10, we're just working on the aspects. Okay. Can I do this more efficient? Can I squeeze a little bit more here? How do I feel? What do I think my numbers are? Do I think I could try and hold a split lower? Okay. Yeah, no, whatever. Hold. And then we get into the last part, and then it's all about that relaxation, holding that rhythm right to the end while we're getting a little bit of fatigue set in, that type of thing. And then ultimately, from that point, it's just about that rhythm right through to the finish. Okay. And cut it down in your head. Okay. I always do. Um, so we'll set up the machine. Okay. Select workout, new workout, single time. Okay. Different today. Should just be able to chuck that up. Now, the other thing that you can do, which I always do when I'm doing these types of things, is change that split length. Okay. So at the moment, it should be sitting on 8. Okay. You can change that to 10 because I think 10's really good because it gives you your quarters. Okay. Or you could go 5 just because then what it's doing is it's breaking down. You can look back on it and say, oh, I felt that real good piece through the middle. Beautiful. And then you can look back on it and relate that to the speed that you actually see on here. Okay. So I've got 10-minute split time. Okay. Pressing that checkbox now. Rock and roll time. No time for drinking till the end. Okay. Unless you're super parched, it's rock and roll. Okay. Righto. Are you ready? Attention. Go. Okay. So just starting off here. And we'll use this first 30 seconds to get that speed that we're after. Okay. We can feel the push now. We should be pretty close to our pace that we're wanting to maintain. Okay. Now let's switch the focus to our smooth, continuous rhythm. Okay. Got the rating on screen. Okay. Really dial in our ratio, that work, rest. Good. Is that smoothness. Okay, nice. Okay, so we're sitting along here. We've set ourselves up into a nice rhythm. Our flywheel is spinning. Now we're just picking it up every time. Rolling with that one speed forward. Okay, we're using that inertia and the chain recoil around the finish. We've got loose enough arms with control to be able to dictate that height of the handle carry. Okay, if we're dropping it, it's us doing it. Okay, the chain really does want to sit on a nice plane, and that's where that relaxation in the hand and but also having slight control with our hands to feel, okay, to dictate height, allows us to work with this machine, okay? Okay. Feel the press, feel that pressure on the feet through the drive. The nice hang. Okay, good motion here. And remembering that, okay, we do this good work to create the speed of the revolutions, okay, which is giving us our numbers. And then we just want to take our time, be loose. Have a nice motion on this recovery. Okay. So nice smoothness here. Okay. Easy drive. One motion. Okay. Check our compression. Okay. Are we overextending? Really trying to throw ourselves with our body forward? Or are we creating this movement around suppleness and then we just flow into the front? Okay. There is a big difference between the two. Okay, it's where I talk about having good posture and being stable, but also being really stiff and rigid. Okay, we can have stability and get our posture right by being relaxed, but we also can do it by being stiff. Okay, but mechanically, the more rigid we are, okay, the more it's going to feel staged, right? Like that, rather than being stable and supple and still having that stability. And that's where our body's natural elasticity comes into play to be able to keep this motion and control, have patience while we're under stress. Okay. So feel this compress. Remember, don't hit the front. We have to be smooth out of that catch. Okay. Feel the feet in the hands, in the seat, working together in relationship. Nice. Okay. Start to think about yourself. How's your demeanor? Breathing, thinking as well. Remember that breathing. We should still be able to take a breath in on the drive. Okay. If we're not, we're locking the diaphragm by trying to be too like tense with it. We can be stable in posture and structure, but not like engaging all the muscles. Okay. We can be engaged in the rhythm without the tension. Okay. So first quarter down. As you were saying before, just feel the rhythm. Looking for our nice setup with these handles starting to move out over the knees. And as the body tilts or pivots forward on our hips, the knees naturally, okay, just break and allow ourselves to continue this forward motion into the front, okay? As I've always said, we can be 95% set off the back and have elasticity and suppleness into the front like this versus 100% set, okay, which equals rigidity. Okay? Frequency of drive, like that lawnmower, we're taking it up and then the legs and body are creating that force through the middle of the stroke. Okay. The legs are driving that body back. The hands, the arms, staying out long as our connector. Okay, good. And then as the body swinging, that flywheel, you can hear it. It's accelerating, moving faster because we don't have any more leg or body. The speed of this handle allows it to come into the body. Okay. We shouldn't have to think about trying to add any more towards the finish. We're holding what's already been created so we can brush it around, get onto this relaxation. Okay? Smooth roll. Rhythm. Okay, we should just be tapping it along, working on the little things, checking things out. But we've got a reasonably good base here as our benchmark. Okay. And that allows us to hold the rhythm. Feel the smoothness. Good. Nice, patient. We're good. And feel the armpit hang. We lock it down here in the lats. Okay. Even just shake the shoulders out. And if we start feeling it like the shoulders are coming up towards our ears, okay? Always a telltale sign. Arms there to hang, okay? Double check this roll into the front. One speed. Okay. Don't try and get ourselves to a point. Let the body roll in. Okay. See, it'll roll up to where it can't go any further. That's our length. That feels awkward. Think about, is it my flexibility? Maybe I could drop my feet. Maybe feel like you're getting too far over. Could afford to raise the feet. Okay. But let's remember, we roll in, we compress, okay? Makes the bodies decel. And then it allows us to have a smooth change in direction around the front. Okay, that last bit there to then get that take up. And drive. Okay. Nice. Symmetry. Try and make sure we're feeling a centered motion down the middle. Okay. Have a look at the chain. Have a look at your knees. Okay. My right knee always went a little bit out because I was rowing that way. So it's a matter of thinking. My knees just at a nice height to brush under my elbows or just beside them. Okay. Patience. Okay, we're a good team. A nice motion. We've been consistent here, nice and continuous. Okay, think about our composure now. Are we smooth? Okay, halfway. Are you feeling good? Are you struggling? Okay, these are always the questions to ask ourselves. Okay, really think about our speed that we've got now, whether you feel like you could try and squeeze just a little bit more. Okay. And we want to focus this relaxation here. Okay, if we build up too much tension here, and the last quarter becomes a lot more of a countdown, like, Jesus, hurry up, then, oh, I can keep swinging away on this rhythm. Okay. Hang, long arm. Very good. Okay, nice armpit hang here. Really good. Okay. Feel it. As we're driving, what are we feeling in the fingers? What are we feeling in the palms of the hands? What are we feeling in the arms? Are we feeling hang tension? Or are we feeling grip tension? Okay. Feel that hang. Okay. And if we can feel like these arms are getting left out there and pulled out of their sockets, okay, and that allows us to focus on the drive, the push with the legs, the body pivoting with that drive, okay, through the stroke. We're still holding long arms. See what it does to our speed, okay? Feel the drive, relax the recovery. Okay, good. This is what we talk about when we're like swing away, sit back, okay? The body is coming from this 11 o'clock position through to the 1 o'clock, one motion. Okay. Okay, how's your face? Okay. You need to shake it out. Remember, the flywheel's always spinning. And if we're doing it well, with a really nice balance and equilibrium of our power output, our technique, okay, our efficiency, we're just coming back to then recreate the same thing. We're not trying to work harder each stroke. We are replicating. Okay. So while we've got this nice swing and this motion, double check what's happening with the arms in the last part of the drive. Okay. Just have a little bit of a feeling for me, because as we're driving, if we feel a pull, okay, can you also feel your toes against the strap? Okay, just feel it for a second. Or do you feel the draw of the arms and a little bit of tension with your toes and your feet on the strap? Okay, because there's a difference. Too much of this, we tend to have to hold ourselves with our feet from, because we're trying to adhere, which means we've got to sort of hold ourselves. Whereas if we're holding the hang and the rhythm, this is what we talk about, letting it come to us, okay? We still have to hold ourselves with the strap, but you can try it and you'll feel the difference, okay? Another pinpoint thing to think about, to feel, to self-analyze, okay? A lot of these things are just a feeling. Cause and effect, okay? We get sore arms, we're holding onto it too tight. We try and rip it in. We have to hold ourselves in the machine better, okay? So the last part of this third quarter, Really think about smoothness, posure, lock in the efficiencies, the relaxation on this recovery, the inertia, the rebound, so to speak, taking itself. Then we start that process. We roll with the chain recoil, body puts the brakes on for us. Okay. Remember, if we're not sitting up across the back, we tend to have the knees lifting before the handle gets over. But if we're getting just enough body rock with the suppleness, the hands should be at least at the knees, and then it's not going to affect chain height if we're having to do that, right? Okay. So, last 10 minutes here, really hold what we're doing, find our efficiencies. Okay. We can't really give too much more energy without having to work a lot harder. So, can we find more speed with feel, with patience, with smoothness? Okay. Let's start with a smoothness around the back, handles brushing the body. Okay. Elbows are drawing past the body with the speed of the drive. We're not whacking it, creating chain reverb. Okay. And then breathe. Be sit with good posture, good body structure. Okay, there. And think about it. Roll one speed. There. Okay. The body gets over. We get a little bit of help from our strap. And then we just roll. There. Okay. Remember, don't try and stop ourselves into the front. Just let the body do that job for you there. Okay. And then we think about this take up. Okay, without grabbing, there's that area around the front where we get back onto the gear. Okay. And we've used this nice relaxation of our setup to be in a good position here. Okay. Smooth around. Okay. Remember, it's through the drive that we create the speed. Okay, not there off the front. It's through the drive. Okay. So we've got this recovery. We've got a smooth patient take-up. Okay. We've got clarity and composure. So let's think about this hang and the sequence of this leg and body drive through the stroke. Okay. Overlapping the pressures, make it feel like one motion. Okay. If we feel any disjointedness, okay, it's not as smooth as it can be. Okay. So nice breathing here. All right, let's feel this relationship. Legs, feel the feet, the hands, and the seat. Okay. Good. Efficiencies, composure, allow ourselves to swing through the drive. Sit back. Okay. This is this last part here where if we've been overly tight or tension in certain areas, it's going to start to show up. So think about relaxation while still getting into a structured, stable position, holding that stability, but allowing that body's elasticity through both the drive and recovery to get this motion. Okay, good. Sit here, wing away. Okay, breathe. Nice. Feel the push. Both feet. Got that natural flex in the ankles, calves, Achilles. Okay, there. Let them just naturally flex. Okay. Don't try and hold the feet down. Good. Okay. So we're all coming into that last 500 meters. We've got composure, smoothness, patience. Hey, good. Remember, don't overwork because we're getting right down to the end. Hold ourselves. Be grateful for the consistency, for the work. Okay? Last part here, long arms with me. Really feel the hang. The body driven by the legs. The ratio, that drive, recovery, work, rest. Okay, last few here. Beautiful. Okay. Wouldn't even know that we've just done 40 minutes. Okay. Really good. Okay. Good steam on, good sweat on. Okay. Heart's been pumping, doing its job. Okay. We should just be feeling a bit of muscle fatigue. Okay. Lovely workout. Okay. Quite glad we did a continuous. Might have to do an hour one day, I reckon. Put everyone under the pump. We'll bust out the hour. Or we could do the hour of power. We got to go as fast as you can for an hour. Not done. So we probably won't do that. Okay, right. Let's take our time here. Okay, just keep moving. No real pressure. Just get some blood flow back around the body. Okay, we can go back over it. You know, the good part about setting that set time, okay, you can look at your quarters. First 10, second 10, okay, third, last, or in fives. Okay, we'll give you a really good look at how you felt. Okay, you can go back over and say, how did I feel? Boom, that's how I felt. Great, real good. Okay. Or you can be like, Matt, felt like shit, really struggled. Great, real good. Okay, either way, we've got something to look back on, something to think about. Okay, so let's just spend a minute or two here. Let's just get ourselves back with a little bit more composure. Okay, let's put our bodies without too much pressure. Okay, just getting the body back into a stable structure. Okay, a little bit of active recovery. And we just raise that heart rate just a little bit. And it just helps pump a little bit more blood around to the parts of the body that need it. Okay. And we can feel that take up here. Then the catch up to the gear. And then the drive through that stroke. Okay, good. Loose, keep it in the fingers, and not too much stress around the feet area. Okay, just a few more here. That'll do. Oh, no, beautiful. Oh, oh, great. It was awesome. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, looks good. Rover, I'd be interested to see your heart rate blow up. Maybe not. Um, you know, workout like that, good, just continuous. Got to stay focused. Uh, really just got to lock into having the motion, right? If we broke uh, if we break out of sort of the rhythm and we start to force it slightly, or we get into this, working harder than we should do while we're doing it, is where things start to get messy. Okay, and it gets messy because we build up too much fatigue too early, or we don't quite get the rhythm, or we're like, holy shit, I think I'm not going to make it to the end. And all those questions, they run through everyone's head, right? They run through everyone's head. And it's really just making sure that we have a really nice place to swing along. Okay. And I know that the sound of it, uh, the sit back, the swing along, because we really are trying to swing through that motion. And when we really do get that body and the rhythm going, it does feel like this metronomic sort of swing back, recover, swing back, recover. And because we do have to think about, a lot of the coaching and a lot of the, I guess, the communication about what I'm trying to get you guys to think about and feel has certain meanings, right? And that body swing that we get through here really does, or that sit back, like we're sitting back into a couch. When we do feel like that's a one movement, when we do feel like that's a one motion, then we are in a really good place to be like, I think that's what he's after. I think that's what I'm doing. And if it relates to that on screen, then you're like, yes, that's exactly the feeling. Okay. And too often, and obviously, it's always the thing, depending, and it's this whole, what are you using the machine for, right? What's the distances that you're trying to achieve? Are you using it for the high rocks of the CrossFit? Are you using it for your fitness? Are you using it because you want to compete? You name it, there's different ways of doing it, and yes, if we are trying to do a 500-meter flat out, right, you're up as high as you can handle on the resistance. You're just using brute strength. You still got to try and get this rhythm, right? Because you can't just use the legs, right? And if you use the body too early, you're limited. Okay. And that's the whole thing, is that we've got to try and fit everything into this motion, right? And we've got to weigh up where we do most of the power, where we've got to stay relaxed, where we've got to do this. And if we get them in the right, or we get them as close we can to the right sequence, then we do feel like we've got a nice number on screen that for us. Okay. And it also feels like it's sustainable. Okay. And that is always the key, is that sustainability, to be like, yeah, I could swing along here for 20 minutes easily. Right. Or I'm like, if you're going fast and it's like, oof, I'm swinging, but I could only do this for 5 minutes. Right. But that's fine, because you might only need to do it for 5 minutes. Okay. And that's always the key around it. Great work, Kira. I've been struggling with my consistency. This helped figure out trouble areas. Thank you, Rich. Good. I lack the mental fitness for 40 minutes alone in my head. You will see, the thing is, when you're doing long stuff, okay, and hence why I always encourage you to do intervals, because you never see 32 minutes and 56 seconds on the screen and you're like, fuck. And if your head wanders, you're like, man, I've still got fucking more than half an hour, not even a quarter of the way, and all of those things, and they take over from what you're trying to do. Whereas if you did set 4 10-minute, or you did 10-minute intervals with a 20-second break, you go 10, 8, 6, okay, sweet, nearly at 5, boom, 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 finish. And then you quick drink, bang, straight back into it. Okay, and you can have a mental break, you can check it out, go. And that's why interval stuff is very, very good for that reason. Okay, whereas consistent long consistent rows, continuous rows, really just about getting into that groove, swinging along, finding that pace. And yes, it's about battling yourself, because you do battle yourself in your head for that reason, because you'll be like, fuck, I'm struggling. I'm not quite getting it. The numbers aren't quite what I want them to be. Jesus, I've got time. Oh, fuck this. And that's where a lot of this type of thing is a battle of, as I said before, right? It's a battle of attrition. It's you versus yourself. Just making sure that you can try and stay on that focus and keep that rhythm. Okay. And just really use that. Whereas the interval stuff allows you to be really focused. You can see the finish line, it's right there. Okay. So you're really focused to that point, bang. Okay, whereas this here, mind wanders, brrr, and away it goes. Glad nobody hates me for struggling. No way, mate. You try and do these for 60 minutes, like every other day, trying to hit numbers that you're expected to hit. I'll tell you what, struggling used to be. Um, that was, yeah, yeah. I don't miss those times. Don't miss those times at all. Thanks, bro. Yep. Thanks, Sammy. All good. Love the mental fitness part of those pieces. I had your golden words in my head. Stay focused and think about my demeanor. Yeah, and that is what it is, right? And that's generally is any long stuff is always just about that. You mind over matter, okay? Because no matter what we do, even if we're doing pieces and some of the interval stuff that starts getting hard, your your demeanor, your focus can dictate your outcome, okay, more than you know it. Okay, because if you're doing a 10-minute piece and you're at 28 rating and you still got 6 minutes to go, you're like, like there's just this thing. Whereas if you can get into it, right, and you take, and that's why, like, I didn't, okay, I do it a lot, but when I'm thinking about the technique, right, and you just do it stroke after stroke, you go, right, I'm going to feel the front. I'm going to roll in smoother. Okay, how do my hands feel? Okay, that's felt quite good. That's not bad. Okay, yeah, coming to the front. Yeah, that's it. Oh, I can feel the thing on my feet. You've nearly done 30 seconds, right? Because that was nearly 10 strokes. So those are the types of things that when you're doing it, you go, okay, this time. Okay, now the hands. Now this, right? And that's where this is, you can write a whole novel on one stroke. It's all the shit you got to think about. But if you just do a few here, a few hands, okay, yep, finish. Oh, okay, that's better. Yep, now out over the knees, now here, okay, and you do that 5, 10 times, and you think about that. That's 30 seconds, right? And then all of a sudden, oh shit, where did that minute go? It's down the tube, and that's why just all of those little things, okay, can really help knock that time off as well. Okay, perfect. Thanks, team. We'll see you guys back here next week. Shit, started to rain. Better make sure I don't have too much stuff outside. Keep up good work. Keep training hard. Any questions, flick them my way. Do what you need. Otherwise, pat yourselves on the back and keep up good work. Right, we're out. Peace out. Cheers, team.